Oh, I don't want to load content. That would be weird. Okay. All right. Welcome. So actually, lucky for you, or maybe lucky not, this is actually our last class that we're going to be having for the end of the year. Well, at least this class, block wise. So you may be happy to get through this, or heck, maybe you'd like my classes, that kind of stuff. Who knows? Anyway, so today we're going to talk about some fairly cool stuff here. I think it is. Consumer protection doesn't. It's kind of like the law enforcement end of it, but identity theft. I think it's kind of interesting to. I'm always interested if you guys ever want to read a good book or watch a good video. Has anybody ever seen like Catch Me If You Can? It's a story about a guy named Frank Abagnale Jr. Yep. I believe I'm trying to think of the actor that plays it. Pretty well known actor. Leonardo DiCaprio. He plays that. He plays basically a young kid that had to make it, and he the way he made it was he fraudulently wrote checks. He did all kinds of stuff like that just to get by, and he fraudulently stole millions and millions of dollars back in the 50s, which is a lot easier to do than it is today. Actually, they say it's kind of easier to do that. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but they said that some hackers went in and stole $40 million worth of Bitcoin not too long ago. That was one of the headlines of what's going on. So I hope they just don't steal my Bitcoin because it's going up right now. Cool. All right. Pacing wise, okay? This is the last week we have here. So remember, because things are cut short in block 4, I've exempted you from lessons 14 and 15. So really, all you got to do to finish up, I've zeroed out all of these as of last week. This week, you need to work on lesson 12 and lesson 13. So any quizzes that say a 12 and a 13, above that, you need to get it done. And so grade books are going to be zeroed out by the end of beginning of next week. If you are a senior, you need to be done by this coming Sunday night at 12 o'clock because we have to get everything ready for graduation. So I need to submit grades for those students. So do we have any seniors in here? I know we have quite a few seniors. Okay, very good. You ready to graduate? I'll be there at graduation. Oh, very good. Yeah, so you got to get this class done this week, okay? You're ready 6 years ago. Hey, I hear you. Just getting through high school is kind of a pain. Understandable. All right, so don't worry about this coming up because you're exempted from it because it's the end of the block. And let's talk about consumer protection and identity theft. So has anybody... Let's go... Okay. First off, let's talk about what's a consumer, okay? What is a consumer, okay? Probably a good way to say that is anybody that purchases anything, okay? So that's me, that's you. If you've purchased anything in your entire life, my kids are consumers. They like to go to the Dollar Tree that's by there and pick out a little toy of their chores that they've earned money, usually by stupid things. But they're a consumer, okay? So basically you have some rights as a consumer, but you also have some responsibilities. So some things that I've done that are dumb, just so you know. So I saw an advertisement online, and this is kind of funny to say. It said, bulk up. You know, it had like this testosterone booster. And I'm like, oh yeah, I would love to have some of that. So what I did is I went and clicked on its link and went out and and purchase the stuff. Well, pretty soon nothing showed up at my house, right? It was like 6 weeks. And so I probably wasn't being a very safe consumer there, right? I didn't check out what I was purchasing and where purchasing it from, okay? So some things that they try to do out there, that the government tries to do to help you with, is they try to have safe products out there, to be informed about certain things that are going on in the to purchase and stuff like that. So that's just some things that are that you have there. You have the right to also choose, right? You don't have to buy a certain pizza or a certain type of thing. You get to choose what you have, and then also to be heard. Okay, so here are some agencies. You may have heard of them before. The FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration. Consumer Product Safety, making sure they're not putting things. One thing they used to do in old toys is they actually used to make them lead-based, and babies would actually put those in their mouths, and then they were developing lead poisoning, okay? So that would be like consumer safety protection, making sure that that's going there. You have the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, deals with stocks, making sure you're not getting in trouble there. You have agencies like the Better Business Bureau that make sure that businesses are operating ethically within their bounds. You also have other unions that kind of help out there as well. A lot of things out there to protect you, that you have good things. So you may see some of these signs, particularly like banks or financial institutions, just saying that they are insuring. FDIC, this is something I would look at your bank. Most banks have this anyways, but they insure your funds up to $250,000 in that institution. So if somebody were to go in and rob it, they would be robbing your money. Your money would be insured, and you make sure you get that money back. Some things that you do not want to do, okay? You do not want to give out this information to a lot of people, okay? There's institutions that will need this information. You want to try to keep it safe. So one, your social security number, okay? Your social security number is very important because it's tied to your credit and other things like that. Also, your full name is big. Address, date of birth, mother's maiden name is something that's formerly common. Passwords or PIN numbers to bank accounts, anything. I'm sure we've all heard of accounts being hacked before. Does anybody have any stories about accounts being hacked? Has anybody had an account be hacked before? See some people writing there. Your dad, okay. What was hacked on your dad? Did the bank account, social media? What have you seen before that's been hacked? Someone bought things on his credit card. Yep, I've had that happen before, and that's one reason I actually use credit cards rather than debit cards, is because they have a zero liability policy, which basically means if you go to them and say, hey, that was not me, they will not charge you your account. They charge it back to you, and then they try to investigate the situation on there. So somebody says, my friend's Facebook asking for money to help pay gas to get back home. Yeah, that's happened a lot too. Something that's happened, my grandma, when she was alive, people would call her, and this is like, people try to attack the elderly quite a bit. They'll call up old people and say, hey, this is your grandson, right? You know, I'm in jail. Can you help post bond for me, bail for me? And it's like, I need this much money. And it's sad because a lot of these older people, they don't understand what's going on. They'll go and transfer money into, via like Western Union or something like that. And these criminals are making money off this, do that. So somebody said I did get a scam voicemail about my Social Security. Yeah, I get that quite a bit, saying, "Hey, you're delinquent in your bills, and you need to pay this money, or else," that kind of stuff. If you don't know it, don't give anybody that you don't know information. And a lot of things that's going on right now is actually KSL. KSL is a big one for fraud. You'll get a lot of scammers that are actually not even from this country. They said a lot of them are coming from Africa, and they're just scamming people left and right. So you got to be careful out there. So we've already talked about what it is. So fraud is a deliberate deception designed to secure unfair or unlawful gain. So cheating the consumer, trying to get money or information out of them that can be used on that. Okay, so there's ways that you can avoid that. One is you need to protect things like mail, wallet, PIN numbers. Some people would call and apply for credit cards and watch for mail to be delivered, and they'd get that mail and they would get the credit card going that you don't even know about. So still out of your mailbox. There's also things like LifeLock and other fraud fighting systems that you may want to purchase when you start developing more assets, meaning you get more money and more things that you need to protect. Let's just run over this scenario real quick. There's a bunch of scenarios, but we won't go over all of them. It says, Bethany purchased a new pair of shoes from the internet. What steps should she take to ensure her identity was protected while making the purchase? Okay, so what do you think? If you're going and purchasing something on the internet, what should you do to ensure that you make sure your identity is protected? Any thoughts? VPN. Okay, so that's taking a pretty good step. So VPNs, if you don't know, it's called for Virtual Private Network. Basically, you set it up so you're not saying where you're coming from, so your identity or location's protected. Reputable website, very good. So a lot of the websites up there, it will say if it's secure or unsecure at the top. So you want to make sure it's a secure website, and then also a reputable website. So like if you're buying something off Amazon, you're pretty reputable, right? If you're going off to something that you just don't know about, you might want to do some research into it to make sure it's a legitimate source. So good question there, or good comments. All right, let's skip through some of these. Okay. Disclosure of information. So we're talking about contracts. You'll be signing a lot of contracts, I'm sure, throughout your life. Oh, very good. So somebody said, your dad says don't buy stuff on Facebook. Yeah, I would agree that I think there's something out there that's kind of like KSL, but Facebook classifieds. I know some friends that use it, but I've never used it. So, but yeah, I would worry about people scamming on Facebook. I talked to a lady that said that she has a Facebook account, but it's a fake Facebook account because she doesn't dare put things up there. You got products from China and don't work. Yep. Happens quite a bit, yeah. So, back real quick to understanding financial contracts. So you're going to have a lot of financial contracts you'll sign, like if you purchase a vehicle, if you purchase a home, what your rights are as you're signing it, okay? So you want to make sure that you're reading under and you understand the disclosure of information, the policies, if you put money down, if you can get your money back, all kinds of stuff like that moving forward. We don't really need to talk about that. Oh, so late fee penalties, something that's really hit a lot of people is the interest. So if you use a credit card and stuff like that, if you see like how much people pay if you don't pay off your full credit card, and we've talked about that before, there's something called predatory lending, which basically means that they take people that don't understand what's going on and they just rack up their money and charges for interest, and it's perfectly legal because it's written out in the terms, but as you can see, you can increase your rates and they can do all kinds of things. So you want to be careful of who you're getting like credit cards from and that kind of stuff. All right. We've already talked about dumping debt. Okay, let's talk about scams and schemes. Okay, so a scam is a fraudulent or deceptive scheme. So as we talked about before, Catch Me If You Can, right? The movie. Really good movie. Better book, by the way. About people defrauding people. And so there's some certain ways that this can happen. And here's just some of them. There's a lot more that are kind of out there. But something called a pyramid scheme, okay? It's a type of organization that kind of comes up that the person at the top basically gets money from everybody underneath, and the people at the bottom are the ones that sell and work the most, but they don't get as much money as the ones that do at top, okay? And it's exchanging the right to sell memberships to people, so they're not really buying a particular product, right? There's also a Ponzi scheme, which is kind of similar, okay? There's no products, and so you want to be careful of these financial things. One thing that I thought was interesting, I saw an article that said per capita, Utah has the most fraudulent, has the most fraud that's going on in the entire United States. So basically, for the amount of people, there's more likelihood you're going to be scammed. Okay, and I could see that with KSL. I could see that with a lot of financial things that go on. A lot of these things like, hey, come join this company with me and sell these products. And I think a lot of that kind of happens over time there. These ones are like it's called an affinity scheme. Predatory lending, that's what we just kind of talked about. So be careful of like nonprofit organizations that can help consumers like plagued by predatory lending. Let's see here. What other things do you want to see? So some other common scams, okay? Advanced fee schemes, okay? So here's something that happened. I was in a little rural town in Utah, and I went into a grocery store, and I bought some food because I was just passing through. And the person in front of me actually, they went and they pushed the button. They were using a debit card, and they pushed the button and say, do you want cash back? They said they pushed no, but then it said that they got cash back. And so the cashier, I don't know what it did, but it did that to the person that was with me behind me when they paid, when their debit card. Didn't do it to me because I was holding a credit card, but it was almost like that they had it set up that regardless if you put yes or no, they were going to take $20 out of your account. And I've seen a lot of cashiers and stuff kind of do that. They'll push no, and then they'll have $20, and they just hide it underneath the thing, and it kind of goes that way. So that's kind of something that is. Some other ones you might be interested in: online auctions, fraud jobs, getting like Social Security information, that kind of stuff. Money-making schemes, bogus charities, scam schools, right? So, like, there's a lot of people that are out there that maybe be selling things like, hey, I'm selling chocolates for my volleyball team, right? When they could actually not be. And they just collect your money up front, and then you never get it. So, so some other things, how thieves work. Usually they don't take a whole bunch of money at once. that's a really kind of risky thing to do. So what they do is they skim some stuff off the top, right? So there was one time somebody got my credit card information, and they weren't taking like, $200, $300, $400. They were taking $5 and $10 and up to $20 and a whole bunch of different hits. And my credit card company caught a wind of it because why would I charge money, in Indonesia for, 6 orders of something that's like $10, right? So you can kind of see how they kind of work there. So here's some top strategies how to do that. This one, it says do your homework, so hopefully everybody does their homework. Meaning on different companies. So here's some additional resources that you can kind of look at. But hopefully this was helpful to you about to avoid scams and schemes and protect yourself as you're kind of out there. And now I kind of leave it to you guys, okay? I'm going to go back to what needs to be done. Remember, this is the last live class. Those that are still in, or not seniors, right? Not seniors, you have until basically the 31st to get the work in. I'd like you to be done with this class before that. If you're a senior, you need to be done by this coming Sunday, the 19th at 12 o'clock, because that's when I'm going to submit grades, okay? So you need to be all done with the class. So the only 2 things you need to do this week, Lesson 12, Lesson 13, Lesson 14, and Lesson 15, I've exempted you all from them, okay? Just because the blocks cut a little bit short. So, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys being in class. And I'll stay after for any questions or concerns you might have, but I'll flip this recording onto the announcement page, and you guys are good to go. So, appreciate it. Hopefully I'll see you in some of my other classes.